What's a remote starter, you may be asking yourself? Well, let me answer that question for you. Today, we're installing a remote starter on this Toyota, and I thought I'd talk about this a little bit with you just because I get asked this question quite a bit. What is a remote starter? How is it installed? Why is it important to call around and ask for pricing? Well, pricing isn't always the most important thing when it comes to remote starters. Installation is very important. Pricing is sort of important, but in the world of remote starters, everyone's pretty competitive. You know what I'm saying? Everyone's competitive in regards to remote starters. We're, $10, $15, $20 all apart. There isn't really much competition where I am. Depending on where you live, you may have several different shops that will try to sell you a remote starter, and you're calling around and you're asking yourself, where can I get the best deal? Well, there are two things you should always take into consideration, and one of them is the installer that is installing your remote car starter in the second biggest investment you'd ever make in your life, a certified technician. That's important to know. In Ontario, where I live, you actually have to be certified to do this type of work, and that certification is called a 310K license. And it is a regulated industry. It's a very niche industry. If you're in the industry at all in Canada, you'd know that it is a pretty niche industry, and there is very few competitors, I guess you could say, in the area where you are, or where I am anyhow. There are very few competitors. So is price important? Yeah, price can be important, but when you're looking at getting a remote starter installed, there are sometimes can be hiccups in the installation process or with the warranty that you may have on your remote starter. So it's important to keep in mind that, are you paying for just the remote starter? The answer to that question is no, you are not just paying for the remote starter installation. You are also paying for customer service. Customer service is super important in this industry, because if you have a problem with your remote starter and you have to go back to the guy who installed it to ask questions or have it repaired or whatever the concern may or may not be, it's important that you understand that what you're paying for is not just the installation. You're paying for knowledge, and you're also paying for customer service. Customer service is probably the most important thing that you should take into consideration when you're getting a remote starter installed in your vehicle. And the reason for that is because if you come here and it's the busiest day of my entire life and you've paid me appropriately for the installation of your remote car starter in your car, I'm not going to have a problem walking outside and helping you. And that's important. Customer service is probably the most important aspect that you should take into consideration when getting a remote car starter installed. Installation is also very important as well. You should always take into consideration how the remote starter is being installed, what processes these people are doing to install your remote starter. And the reason for that is that not all installations are created the same. If you're getting a deal on your remote starter, and say you've called somebody in your local area and they are $60, $70, $80 cheaper than the competitors around you, there's a reason for that. They're cutting corners. They're doing things to your car that you don't know about because they're tied up underneath of your dash. And let me tell you, when we're doing an installation on a remote starter, a lot of the vehicle's interior panels actually have to come apart on the car. Let me show you. Got Brandon here. He's working away, and he's head deep in dash. It's kind of a expression we like to use here at CarPhonix, because oftentimes when you call and we don't answer the phone, it's because we're doing that. And if you can see here, quite a bit of the paneling on the vehicle has been removed. The steering column has been removed. He's up underneath the dash there installing on some very fine wiring. And, these processes take knowledge. If you don't know what you're doing, you can screw up a lot of stuff in your brand new car. So I just wanted to touch base with you guys, make sure you guys understood what the processes are, what's involved, how to do it, why we're doing things the way that we're doing it. One thing that we do that kind of separates us from a lot of the people is we're test taping every single individual wire. If you don't know what test tape is, it's basically the same tape that the manufacturers are using on your car to install all of the factory looming and wiring under the dash. And when we're doing the installation, we're doing it in a way that makes it look OEM, original equipment manufacturer, and it makes it look like it was meant to be there. So, I'm running out of breath here, guys. Anyhow, again, I just wanted to touch base with you, let you know what the important things are that you should look for when you're getting a remote starter installed into your vehicle. If you live in a cold place, you live in a cold area where things are kind of brisk and you want to get in the car when it's nice and toasty, you got kids, you got family member that wants to get a remote starter installed. These are all very important questions that you should be asking the installer, and I just wanted to let you know. Again, you're in the know. Thanks for watching CarPhonix. Have a good one.